Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Folks, today's Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026, coming up on Roland Martin Unfiltered, streaming live on the Black Star Network. It was a day off of the trial of the Black Texas teen facing first-degree murder charges for killing a white teen at the 2025 track meet. We'll talk with attorney Thelma Anderson about the update on the Karmelo Anthony case. Folks, in South Carolina, a jury acquitted an Asian store owner who was charged with murdering a black teen he suspected of robbing his store. The jury accepted the store owner's self-defense claims, even though he shot the teen in the back. In Louisiana, lawmakers have passed a bill to eliminate judgeships in New Orleans. We'll talk with one judge who will no longer be serving on the bench. During today's Senate hearing, Secretary of State Marco Rubio lost his composure when challenged by Senator Cory Booker about the Trump administration's deal with Iran, which critics say allows the country to profit from the war. Plus, we'll discuss another incident involving a black man who was approached by the police while minding his own business. That's right, just being black. We'll show you the video, our video from Michigan of an encounter that could have turned deadly. It's time to bring the funk on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Let's go.
He's got it. Whatever the biz, he's on it. Whatever it is, he's got the scoop, the fact, the find. And when it breaks, he's right on time and it's rolling. Best believe he's knowing. Putting it down from sports to news to politics. With entertainment just for kicks, he's rolling.
Jury selection for the high-profile murder trial of Karmelo Anthony, a black teenager, will continue on Wednesday at the Collin County Courthouse in McKinney, Texas. Nearly 200 potential jurors attended to fill out questionnaires on Monday. The case will be heard in the 296th District Court with Judge John Roach presiding. According to his website, Judge Roach is, quote, a proven conservative. He anticipates that a jury will be selected by tomorrow, allowing opening statements to begin on Thursday. Karmelo is charged with first-degree murder for fatally stabbing white student Austin Metcalf during a high school track meet last year. Attorney Thelma Anderson is following this case for us. She joins us right now. Thelma, give us a sense of what has taken place thus far.
Everyone, thus far, what has been taking place is yesterday was, like Roland stated, the jury questionnaire. And the questionnaire is a very pivotal piece of paper for initiating who these potential jurors are, what they think, how they think, and if you're going to have something to qualify to get them on or keep them on the jury. So they went through that process yesterday. I can tell you it was a lot of people there. It was a little diverse, more than I thought it was going to be, which is hopeful, which you want to make sure that the jury pool is diverse to represent the individual also whose constitutional rights is up for display in this trial. So that's what happened primarily yesterday. No one could view this particular process because it's literally them answering the questions. And these questionnaires have to be approved by both sides. They go through objections, and then the judge ultimately determines if these questions qualify to go before the potential jurors that are going to answer. That's primarily what happened yesterday.
Collin County, it is not as diverse as Dallas County.
Absolutely not by a long shot. We are the minority in Collin County.
Collin County also largely white, a lot more conservative as well, and so that's a concern for supporters of Karmelo Anthony.
It's been a concern since the inception of this case because of what has transpired over this last year, and then that we are in a county and prior to going out as from being a former prosecutor, we always said if you get stopped in Collin County or Denton County, good luck, because it is known that those two places is a no-no for minorities.
It's certainly going to be something we watch out for to see what this jury looks like and what they are comprised of. And so, again, they expect jury selection to finish tomorrow. And so when do they expect the trial to actually begin?
The trial is set to commence on Thursday morning, which is going to be the opening statements for the state. And if the defense choose to give an opening statement, because they can waive their opening statement until it's their case in chief. So that's what primarily is going to happen on Thursday. And then they're going to go straight into testimony. And the witnesses of the state are going to be put on cross-examination possibly. But we are set to start on Thursday, and it's going to continue to roll on, I want to say, over a week, probably going into 2 weeks.
And we were, when this initially happened, we obviously had eyewitness testimony. I don't recall if there was actually any video being shot of the altercation. Do you recall that being the case?
There are allegations that there's possible video, possible surveillance that is surrounding the actual stadium. But because this particular judge has put this case on lockdown, we do not actually see what's going on in this particular case. And I can tell you, there was supposed to be a video that the school had possession of. And if you went to the school, you were able to see it until all of the mockery started to take place, and they just shut all of that down, which I believe someone ended up getting arrested for that, for leaking it.
Again, this trial is closed. It's not being broadcast or televised.
No, it is not being broadcast or televised. And I think this is more so because of this particular judge. I don't necessarily think the defense wanted this to be a closed to the media, but I can only anticipate that maybe the state and the judge erred on this to keep it from being publicly streamed. And quite frankly, I don't understand why, because if you're afraid of tainting a jury, then you put them in, you sequester them and hold them in a hotel to where they are not allowed to see what's going on in the real world until they finish the case in itself.
Gotcha. All right. So it's a lot we're going to be paying attention to in this particular case. And last question, in terms of seats in the courtroom, how many seats are in the courtroom?
You know, Collin County, they house their criminal, civil, and family court all in the same courthouse. So it's slightly bigger than Dallas County courthouses because it's updated, but it is not that big. So I don't know how many individuals are going to be allowed in because it's not as thick as people think it is, but it is bigger than the average Dallas County courthouse courtroom. But they also have a holdover. But I'm like, if you have a holdover, y'all are going to be allowing someone to stream it. So how is that going to work?
Gotcha.
But it is first come, first served.
All right, then. Thelma Anderson, we certainly appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely.
Folks, going to go to a break. When we come back on Roland Martin Unfiltered, we'll talk about what's happening in Louisiana, where the Louisiana Supreme Court has allowed that state to move forward with removing various judge positions in New Orleans. We'll talk to one of those judges right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Back in a moment.
With medicine and science under attack, I want to keep you and your family informed and healthy. I'm Dr. Ebony Hilton, and I knew at the age of 8 that I wanted to be a doctor. So I studied hard and became the first African-American female anesthesiologist hired at the Medical University of South Carolina since its opening in 1824. And I always say I was made into a doctor, but I was born to be a mom. And as a new mom, wife, sister, daughter, and friend, I understand how frightening a medical crisis can be. I care for individuals on some of the worst days of their lives, and it's my mission to provide you with a safe space to gain clarity on issues affecting your mind, body, and soul. I recognize that there are health disparities, particularly as it pertains to race, and I want to help bridge the gap between you and your healthcare providers. Join me every Thursday for Second Opinion on the Black Star Network, where each week I'll invite experts from various medical fields to share the latest health news. We'll discuss topics such as the vaccine debate, mental and sexual health, medical bias, infertility, menopause, andropause, nutrition, and aging. Together with my medical colleagues, we aim to provide you with a second opinion. Don't miss it, Thursdays only on the Black Star Network.
All right, folks, let me tell you about Chapter. Now, if you're on Medicare or about to be, the system is not set up to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans, and too many people making money off of your confusion. And look, we're used to this. We're no strangers to systems that don't have our best interests at heart. But we don't have to accept it when it comes to Medicare. That's why I'm telling you about Chapter. Their advisors are independent and honest. In fact, they're the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. And they're focused on one thing: what works for you. If there's a better plan out there, they'll find it. If you're already in the right one, they'll tell you that too. There are no games. Just last year, people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100. It's 20 minutes and a real person. It's completely free. My parents actually have already called. My mom sent me a text. Folks, give Chapter a call at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281, and connect with someone you can trust. Folks, these are the kind of services that we need for our audience here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. So call Chapter right now, 724-264-8281.
My name is Bill Duke, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered.
Republican lawmakers in Louisiana passed Senate Bill 217. Again, this is a part of the GOP war on Black America. This bill will downsize multiple courts in New Orleans. It's now headed to Governor Jeff Landry's desk to be signed into law. The bill reduces the number of Orleans criminal district court judges from 13 to 9, juvenile court judges from 4 to 2, and municipal and traffic court judges from 2 from 7 to 5. The 3 criminal court judges that are set to be eliminated are Honorable Simone Levine, Rhonda Good Douglas, and the recent winner of the unfilled Section J seat, Judge John Fuller. Rhonda Good Douglas joins us right now from New Orleans. Glad to have you here. All right, so normally when we see a reduction like this, it's because we've seen a drop in cases. What's the rationale given?
So the rationale is that the state legislature decided, this legislation comes from a legislator that is not part of the New Orleans delegation. It's someone from Monroe, Louisiana, who decided that the judges in Orleans Parish were not working efficiently, that we did not have enough work to do, and that the court should be streamlined.
And this is a person's opinion. Was it backed up by data, by facts?
No. There's been no. Now, I will say that the court, all of the courts in Louisiana did participate in a work study evaluation, which sort of evaluated us for 5 weeks last year. However, that study was only supposed to be used to determine whether or not new judges should be added. It was not for any such reduction of judges. And I'm not sure if that is what the basis is that they're utilizing. However, that was not what that study was for. It's simply just an attack on the judges in Orleans Parish.
So now with this particular move, and for people who don't know, was New Orleans the only parish targeted? So
yes.
So they didn't look at any other court system in the whole state, just New Orleans.
Just New Orleans, and as I said before, the legislator that created the legislation is from northern Louisiana. He is an attorney, but I don't believe that he's practiced in any of our courthouses in Orleans Parish in quite some time. And he actually said that during some of the hearings.
Wow, that just absolutely is crazy. And obviously, the city of New Orleans fought this, and the clerk position that went all the way up to the Supreme Court. So the Supreme Court has said, yeah, legislatures, they can do whatever they want to. So this is what I'm always reminding people. Again, for all the black folks in Louisiana who set their asses at home in the last election, which allowed for Jeff Landry to get 50+1%. It locked in the Republicans having a supermajority in the legislature, because before they did not have one. And so this is the consequence when the folk don't vote. They then get to do what they want to do. So here are Republicans in Louisiana, MAGA Republicans, singling New Orleans out and penalizing New Orleans. And so for folks who don't vote, well, here you go.
This is exactly where we are. So, Mr. Martin, what I will tell you about my circumstances, initially we were all under the impression, not that, the court agreed to the reduction in judges, but we were under the impression that it would be the last 3 elected. I learned on Sunday at 7 p.m. via text message from a defense attorney that my seat had come up and was now in the bill. The bill passed, obviously, because as you said, there is a supermajority, and it's now sitting on the governor's desk, waiting to be signed.
And again, for the people who are unaware, when MAGA Governor Jeff Landry was Attorney General, he also wanted the law changed when it came to the unsealing of juvenile records only for Orleans Parish.
Now, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not clear as on that legislation. I'm not doubting you on that, but I do know that there has been some legislation in regards to the juvenile records. I was not aware that it was just in Orleans Parish. So I'm a judge in Orleans Parish. I don't do juvenile work, but I did know that that was some legislation. I did not know that it was just for Orleans Parish. I thought it was, statewide. So that's interesting.
Oh, yeah. And in fact, he championed, well, first of all, what he did was in March 2024, he championed legislation that would make juvenile criminal records public. And because they want to expose violent and criminal records. And so this is what he wanted to do. And then when he called that special session in February of 2024, that's what it was all about. So, listen, when he was Attorney General, we saw exactly what he was trying to do. And in fact, this is a story right here from the Associated Press. The story said youth records in mainly black Louisiana areas may go public. Give me 1 second. I'm going to close this. Let me close this out. And then, as public frustration over Louisiana's violent crime grows, Republican gubernatorial candidate Attorney General Jeff Landry is backing legislation that would make certain confidential juvenile records public in 3 of the state's parishes, all of which are predominantly black. So he was targeting black parishes, and Orleans Parish was one of those. Now, you would think that if you're trying to do something that you would target all, but no, he was only targeting predominantly black parishes.
So, as a judge, I have certain judicial canons that do not allow me to comment on legislation. In fact, that's been sort of the difficulty with what's going on right now. Unfortunately, there's not a lot that I can advocate for myself in terms of how I feel about this legislation. So, I will definitely refrain from comment. I think what you said is what it is on what you just showed
I'm going to show this here. So it's supposed to be a 2-year pilot program, go to my iPad, that would apply to 3 parishes, Cato, East Baton Rouge, and Orleans. All the AP story said, all of which are home to Louisiana's most populous cities, while supporters of the legislation cited that these 3 areas have the largest number of violent crimes in the state. They are also predominantly black. So at the end of the day, the Supreme Court says they can do what they want to do. So all of y'all are out of these jobs, and the only thing that could change is if you have a change in legislature, correct?
So what I will say is that yesterday, the governor was because I am one of the more tenured judges and have been around for a while. The governor was very frustrated with the fact that I had been added and another seat had been removed. So I'm remaining hopeful and prayerful that the governor will veto this bill. And, you know, simply because I don't even know how I got added to the bill. No one could really explain to me why my particular section of court was added. I was elected in 2020. I have 2 specialty courts. I work every day. I come to work. I try cases. I do my job. I don't have a lot of negative newspaper stories. I don't have a lot of negativity. I treat everybody fair, impartial, and I do my best every single day to represent the citizens of Orleans Parish. And so the governor was very upset and angry that I had been added to the bill in this last ditch. I don't know if it was some deal that was cut with other legislators. I really don't know, but no one has been able to explain to me how there were several other judges with less tenure than me that were that they skipped over basically to come to me. So I'm actually third in line. I'll be the deputy chief in 2028. So not sure, should I survive, I guess, this cut. That was the plan. There was a rumor out there, so I want to, dispel all rumors. There was a rumor on the House floor that I was planning on retiring. I am not. And what I will say is that should my seat be eliminated, I will seek re-election in another seat on this bench because I deserve to be here. I've done the work, and there's absolutely no reason why my seat should be eliminated from this court.
All right, Judge Rhonda Good Douglas, we certainly appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Mr. Martin. I appreciate you taking the time.
All right, folks, I want to bring my panel right now. And some other, of course, news of the day. Dr. Mustafa Santiago Ali, former senior advisor for environmental justice at the EPA, joining us out of Washington, D.C. Randy Bryant, DEI disruptor. She joins us as well. She's also entrepreneurial, author, and creator of The Truthing Game. Joining us from D.C., Khalil Thompson, executive director, womenwithblackmen.org out of D.C. as well. We say this over and over again, Mustafa, elections have consequences, and there's a whole bunch of people who sat at home in Louisiana. You had a black man who was running on the Democratic side for governor, and if he got more votes, then that would have kept Landry from getting 50+1. It would have forced a runoff, but a lot of people chose to sit at home. Not just black people, but I'm specifically talking to black people because our numbers in that election were absolutely horrible. And so the consequences of people not voting is when the legislature comes back and then do whatever the hell they want to because they have a supermajority. So part of this idea when we talk about voting is not always playing offense, it's also playing defense.
Well, Maya Angelou once said that voting is the great equalizer. And when we don't fully understand what that means, then we see the types of behaviors of folks just being apathetic and not engaging in the process and not honoring the power that they have to make sure that the right individuals are being elected. We've talked about for years now on this show about judges and how incredibly important they are in making sure that we have those judges that will interpret the law fairly, will make sure that they understand the dynamics that often go on and also the disparities that are a part of the legal system. So when we don't utilize our power, when we don't show up, then we get these types of actions that are happening from folks who want to erase us, who want to make sure that we don't have the power. And then, of course, to make sure that in many instances, there are those private prisons that are out there. They want to continue to fill those up. So, we could stop that. We can mitigate some of that by making sure that we show up at the ballot box and then voting for the individuals who we know will have the best interest for our communities.
Randy, I try to explain to people when you look at the hard right, they wanted to get rid of Roe v. Wade for a very long time. They didn't stop going to the polls. And so the lesson that people need to take from this is you may not get what you want in one cycle or two or three or four or five, But the whole point of keep coming back is you might eventually get what you want.
Right, and we can't let our pedals off the gas, our feet off the gas. We have to keep pushing and pushing. And I know it's frustrating because it feels as if we don't get everything that we want, and it feels as if we're fighting against a tide that we can't fight against. But that is what they want. They want us to be uninvolved. They want us to feel apathetic. They want us to feel defeated. But we're not defeated, and so we just have to keep pushing because we see what happens when we don't.
Absolutely. Khalil?
Thank you, Roland. You know, people have been cheering on the Knicks for the last 30 years, and they still show up to games. They still go to Madison Square Garden. They've lost almost every season, but this year they finally get what they want. So I think your example is apt that just because the election doesn't turn out the way that you want, it doesn't mean that you stop. Conversely, that if you do get someone in office that you support, we got to hold them accountable. We can't just rock with them for the culture just because they happen to look like us or they're from our communities. If they're not showing up for us and delivering in the way that changes our community for the better, well, then we don't need them in office. What I've loved about the conversations that's happened over the last couple of months, it's really woken up, I think, a lot of people, not movement folks, but community folks who realize that elections aren't just about the top of the ticket or federal races. We need to be concerned about our school boards. We need to be concerned about your district races, our sheriff races, all of these other down ballot races that are vitally important and have a direct day-to-day impact on your life.
Absolutely. Let me do this. We'll go to a quick break. We come back. We'll have some breaking news. You're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. All right, folks, let me tell you about Chapter. Now, if you're on Medicare or about to be, the system is not set up to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans, and too many people making money off of your confusion. And look, we're used to this. We're no strangers to systems that don't have our best interests at heart. But we don't have to accept it when it comes to Medicare. That's why I'm telling you about Chapter. Their advisors are independent and honest. In fact, they're the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. And they're focused on one thing: what works for you. If there's a better plan out there, they'll find it. If you're already in the right one, they'll tell you that too. There are no games. Just last year, people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100. It's 20 minutes and a real person. It's completely free. My parents actually have already called. My mom sent me a text. Folks, give Chapter a call at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281, and connect with someone you can trust. Folks, these are the kind of services that we need for our audience here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. So call Chapter right now, 724-264-8281.
They said the quiet part out loud. Black votes are a threat, so they erased them. After the Supreme Court gutted the Voting Rights Act in 2013, Republican legislatures moved fast. New voter ID laws, polling place shutdowns, purges of black voters from the rolls. Trump's Justice Department didn't stop it, they joined in. In 2018, his DOJ backed Ohio's voter purge system, a scheme that disproportionately erased black voters. Their goal: erase black votes and political power. Yeah, that happened. These are the kinds of stories that we cover every day on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Subscribe on YouTube and download the Black Star Network app. Support fact-based independent journalism that centers African Americans and the issues that matter to our community.
I'm Ryan Wilson, CEO and co-founder of The Gathering Spot, and you're watching Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network.
Folks, this just in: beloved singer Peabo Bryson has died. A couple of days ago, his family released a statement saying that he had suffered a stroke and that he was being cared for. And just moments ago, we received the email from the family notifying us of his death. Go to my iPad. This is the statement that was released. With broken hearts and profound sadness, the family of two-time Grammy Award-winning singer, songwriter, and balladeer Peabo Bryson announces his passing. Internationally celebrated as the legendary voice behind the Oscar-winning Disney classics Beauty and the Beast and A Whole New World, Peabo also captivated audiences through timeless R&B classics, including Feel the Fire, I'm So Into You, Can You Stop the Rain, If Ever You're in My Arms Again, and Reaching for the Sky, among many others. He transitioned peacefully at 5 p.m. Eastern on the evening of Tuesday, June 2nd, 2026, surrounded by the love of his family and those closest to him. For more than 5 decades, Peabo's extraordinary voice served as the soundtrack to some of life's most cherished moments. His music carried generations through joyful celebrations, great love stories, and enduring moments of comfort and inspiration, creating a legacy that will forever live in the hearts of those who loved him and the countless lives he touched through song. In this deeply difficult moment, the family asked for privacy as they mourn the loss of a beloved husband, father, family member, friend, and artist whose impact extended far beyond the stage. We are tremendously moved by the outpouring of love, prayers, and support from his fans, friends, and colleagues around the world. The family shared, while our hearts are broken, we find comfort in knowing how deeply Peabo was loved and how many lives were touched by his voice and his generous spirit. His legacy and music will live on for generations to come. The family extends their heartfelt gratitude for the compassion shown during this time and asks for continued privacy as they navigate this immeasurable loss. They remain deeply appreciative of the prayers, love, and support from around the world. Celebration of life and memorial arrangements will be announced at a later date. Again, folks, beloved singer Peabo Bryson has passed away at the age of 75. We'll be right back on Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. All right, folks, let me tell you about Chapter. Now, if you're on Medicare or about to be, the system is not set up to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans, and too many people making money off of your confusion. And look, we're used to this. We're no strangers to systems that don't have our best interests at heart. But we don't have to accept it when it comes to Medicare. That's why I'm telling you about Chapter. Their advisors are independent and honest. In fact, they're the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. And they're focused on one thing: what works for you. If there's a better plan out there, they'll find it. If you're already in the right one, they'll tell you that too. There are no games. Just last year, people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100. It's 20 minutes and a real person. It's completely free. My parents actually have already called. My mom sent me a text. Folks, give Chapter a call at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281, and connect with someone you can trust. Folks, these are the kind of services that we need for our audience here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. So call Chapter right now, 724-264-8281.
Hey everybody, I'm T.D. Jakes, and I want to encourage you to watch Roland Martin Unfiltered. It'll blow your mind.
A South Carolina jury believed the self-defense claim and acquitted an Asian store owner of murdering a black teen he shot in the back. Monday's verdict surprised everyone, including 61-year-old J.K. Rick Chow. In 2023, Chow shot 14-year-old Cyrus Carmack Belton after chasing him more than 130 yards from his Columbia convenience store. The store owner falsely accused the teen of stealing and chased Cyrus after the teen left the store. Chow said he shot the teen in defense of his son, who also chased Cyrus. Chow said Cyrus pointed a gun at his son, but prosecutors said Chow acted in anger because he wrongfully thought the teen had stolen the bottles of water. Prosecutors told jurors that the teen's gun had fallen during the chase and that Chow was never threatened with it. Here's what Carmack Belton family attorney Todd Rutherford had to say after last night's verdict.
State of South Anger is palpable tonight. You can feel it, you can touch it, because people saw a child that looked like their own, that did nothing wrong. A child that all the witnesses described had fear in his eyes when he left the store. And then he started to run as two grown men chased him down over a football field and shot him dead. This should not happen. This makes us feel as if our children don't matter, and they do. This makes us feel like Cyrus's life did not matter, and it did. What you see tonight is going to be the anger, and what we ask is that that anger not turn into anything else but words, to go online, to talk about it, to discuss it, but not to act like what people in their evil minds think that we are. We are certainly better than that. Cyrus was better than that. His family is better than that. It's unfortunate that this was the jury's verdict. We have no choice but to accept it, but we don't disagree. But we don't agree. There is no way that a child who did nothing wrong, who is shot in his back, how that jury can justify that verdict. I've been practicing law for almost 30 years. I've never seen anything like this. I don't understand it. I'm at a loss to explain it to his father, Troy, standing beside me. I'm at a loss to explain it to his mother, who couldn't take it and had to leave. I'm at a loss to explain it to his family, because I too don't understand it. I've talked to the sheriff tonight. We all asked for calm. We all asked that everybody make sure that we celebrate Cyrus's life, that we make sure that his legacy continues like his life did. He ran away and he got shot in the back. Should not happen. Shouldn't have happened. And unfortunately, we're going to have to deal with the end results of it. Thank you. Yeah.
Will you still be pursuing a civil lawsuit?
We will still be pursuing a civil lawsuit. Rick Chow, while found not guilty, we're still going to sue him. He owes. He owes for what he did to Cyrus. He owes for what he did to the family. He owes for what he did to this community. What he did was wrong. He took a life that he should not have. He had no reason, no one ever does, to chase a child 130 yards and shoot them in the back. I don't care what that jury said. There is no justification for that. It should never happen again, and it is not open season on black people for anybody to feel like they should be able to do it because the jury found him not guilty.
And can we just get, I don't know if Dad can speak and just give your reaction as well to what went down today with that verdict coming down?
He doesn't want to talk right now. And again, he is broken up, as is the entire family. They are disappointed in the way that this happened and in the verdict, and we are all just in disbelief.
Folks, the verdict came down last night, and here it is.
All right, Madam Clerk, will you please publish?
Yes, sir, Your Honor. Indictment number 2023 GS 40-07440. State of South Carolina, County of Richland versus Chike Rick Chow. We, the jury, unanimously find the defendant, Chike Rick Chow, as to the charge of murder, not guilty. Signed number 302, foreperson, June the 1st, 2026. Madam Forelady, was this your verdict and the verdict of the entire jury?
Yes, ma'am, it was.
Thank you.
And from the state, would you like to poll the jury on that?
Madam Forelady and ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I'm going to ask you 2 questions relating to your verdict. Please answer yes or no to each. Number 302, was this your verdict?
Yes, it was.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes, it is.
Number 2, was this your verdict? 257?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Number 63, was this your verdict? Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Number 208, was this your verdict? 208. Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Number 226, was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Number 329, was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Number 222, was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Number 164, was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Number 21, was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Number 204, was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Number 232, was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
Number 259, was this your verdict?
Yes.
Is it still your verdict?
Yes.
The jury's indulged, Your Honor.
Very good. Anything else? Not at this time, Your Honor. We just like stop post-trial motions. Going 10 days if we feel those are. 10 days for any post-trial motions you may have. Anything within the defense? Okay. Okay, Your Honor. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you can return to your jury room. I'll be right back there to excuse you. We'd like to thank the jury.
Folks, absolutely incredible decision there in South Carolina, but it should not be a shock. Remember the officer who shot Walter Scott? Remember, that trial first began, Randy, it was a hung jury. People forget that, even with that video evidence. And so, kid shot in the back, and you accuse someone of stealing water and taking their life, that was worth water, and chasing 130 yards. I need people to understand, that's literally more than the length of a football field.
You know, it is heartbreaking, but not at all surprising. And it's sad that this is our America, that it is not surprising. I mean, there is the value on Black life is very diminished. And, you know, so many people, white supremacists have done a great job of making us, taking our humanity away from us. So it's almost as if people don't see Cyrus. They don't see a 14-year-old child. They see a menace. That is not protecting yourself when you chase someone for as long as they chase that child, that 14-year-old child, and then shot him in the back. How could you say you were defending yourself if his back was to you? That he was not facing you, that he was not pointing a gun at you. How do they get, well, we know how they get away with it. It is so incredibly frustrating. And sadly, we hear these stories just all too frequently. And at the end of the day, over water, all I can pray is that they're successful in their civil case against him. And I hope that that man is imprisoned in the mind that he knows that he murdered that 14-year-old child. And he has to live with that for the rest of his life.
Yep, this is very clear. And when you look at it, this is, Law and Crime posted this on social media. This is the photo of Rick Chow, and this is the photo of that young man, Carmack Belton. Again, dead. The thing here, Khalif, is that when we look at these places, Black life means nothing. Khalil?
I'm reminded of that it's 35 years ago that Soon Jadu shot the young Black girl in her Korean grocery store owner shot the young Black girl in California. That just this year in a Zara, a Black woman who walked in with her own jacket was chased by these employees out who had smiles on their face as if they were doing a citizen's arrest. Many of us just want to get up and breathe and go about our day as every ordinary Americans, just to live. Unfortunately, and as you were playing the recount from the courtroom, my chest gets tighter and my shoulders stand up on edge, because this is just another case, and far too often this is just another moment And it's an unfortunate another name that we're going to have to remember year in and year out, whose life was lost. That could have been an astronaut or an engineer, a doctor, could have cured cancer, could have done so many things with their life. But over less than $5, you chased them out of your store. And I read the recount over the weekend. His shoes came off as he was running. He stopped. I heard one of the investigators was asked, well, he had a gun in his backpack. Well, you didn't know. Like you couldn't see through his backpack, or you couldn't understand these things. You made a split-second decision. I obviously unfortunately did not watch the case from start to finish. So don't know how the jury came to this decision. But then I'm sorry, I'm reacting in the moment. I see the brother standing there on his defense team, shaking his hand and smiling, while the cries of a mother and father that look like your mother and father, are wailing in the background, and you can, with a straight face, greet your client. Like, I am apoplectically wondering, when does the promise that's been owed to us for over the 250 years that this country is going to celebrate on July 4th going to finally be due? When does that bill get paid?
Mustafa, while we go to you, I'm going to play this. This is a video of, I mean, this is just beyond sad. This young man is simply going into a store, and this came out during the trial. He's accused of stealing, but Rick Child's wife followed him around the entire time he was in the store. Mustafa, just watch this. Mustafa, what's unbelievable here, you got him on surveillance tape. If he stole something, turn him into the cops. And I can tell you, there have been numerous times that you saw when he walked in, they made him put his backpack down. So he couldn't walk around the store with his backpack. There have been numerous times I've walked into a convenience store, and there's certain things that I wanted, and I'm looking for it, Then okay, I don't see it, then I'm looking for something else. And it was like, you know what? Not looking for what I want. So, okay, I'm out. That exchange there cost Cyrus his life.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm having a hard time because I saw my godsons and my nephews in that little boy's face. And whether they say the dead can't cry out for justice, only the living can do that. It's a shame that they never see our humanity, right? They make assumptions right away. And unfortunately, we continue to support their businesses. So one side of it is that we need to stop supporting folks who don't see us as human, don't see the value of us in so many different ways. The second part, of course, is that there's no justification for chasing a child, a young teenager, across whatever that distance was and then shooting them. I'm still confused with the charges. I'm like, is murder the only thing that you could bring forward, not manslaughter? There are different levels of murder, of course. So I'm curious to learn more about that space. But at the end of the day, you know, a life has been taken, a light has been extinguished. And for many of those folks, when I heard the court reporter asking the question, is this still your vote? Those folks still continued after everything they had seen, after hearing those mothers cry, all the various things. There's a sickness that exists inside of America, and we never want to talk about it, right? There is a mental and a spiritual sickness that exists inside of this country that you could extinguish our lives, and they've been doing it since the founding of this country. If you want to talk about 250 years, even though it was happening before then, and this young man is now a part of that extinguishing that continues to happen. And until we speak out, until we take our dollars away, until we vote like our life depends on it, and people hear that and they think it is cliche-ish, but it is actually real, then many of these types of things are going to continue to happen time and time again. We owe something to this young man. We owe that we become better and that we demand better. There are other communities in our country of different groups who never accept one step backwards, but we continue to allow ourselves to slide backwards. And we've got to change that. And it's not just us, of course. It is others as well, but we can't continue to allow these killing fields to happen where our children are the ones that are sacrificed time and time again.
In fact, this was posted on social. This is the protection South Carolina police had a Rick Child's gas station today. Nothing but police cars there. I guess they feared it would be attacked or burned down. But a massive, massive police presence at his convenience store. And you're absolutely right. What should happen there, I dare say, massive pickets should go up and make it clear. Don't buy gas from there. You're black. Hey, you shut it down by having economic withdrawal, Randy. That's what should happen.
I wouldn't spend, they couldn't sell me anything, honey. I would walk to somewhere if I ran out of gas on the side of the road. We cannot continue to spend money with people who outwardly cannot stand us. That man murdered that 14-year-old child. So there's no way that I would buy anything, any water, any gas, piece of candy, nothing. And they need to make it where they have to go out of business. He should not be rewarded for what he did. We have to, at a certain point, take a stand. And I know people say, oh, I get tired of you talking about voting, or I get tired of you talking about protesting, but it's what works. We have to do it. We have to do it consistently and be just serious about it. Fighting back is not convenient. I know that store may be close to you, or you go to it all the time, or they have your favorite Slurpees or whatever. Fighting for liberation, fighting for what we're fighting for is not convenient. And all of us need to learn that we are going to have to sacrifice some things to get what we deserve, because they're not going to give it to us.
Absolutely. All right, folks, I got to go to a break. We'll be right back Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. Don't forget to support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. Your dollars are critical to our success. If you want, our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing on average $50 each a year. It comes out to $4.19 a month, 13 cents a day. And so if you want to contribute, please do so via Cash App. Use a Stripe QR code. You see it on the screen right here. If you're listening, go to blackstarnetwork.com and you'll have all the ways in which you can contribute to our show. Now, if you checks and money order, do me a favor. Checks and money order, go to send them to P.O. Box. First of all, make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C., 20037-0196. If you want to contribute to us via PayPal, please do so using paypal.me/Roland, paypal.me/R Martin Unfiltered. If you want to use Venmo, it's RM Unfiltered. Again, Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com, Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Folks, and we are getting close to 2 million subscribers on our YouTube channel. So this is where we sit. Right now, we have 1,939,998. So if you're watching our channel right now and you've come across it and you're not a subscriber, click the subscribe button. Our anniversary, our 8-year anniversary of the show and our 4-year anniversary of the network is September 4th. So by September 4th, we want to pick up the additional 60,000 subs. And so subscribe right now to our YouTube channel. Again, just youtube.com/Roland S. Martin so we can hit 2 million subscribers. I'll be right back. All right, folks, let me tell you about Chapter. Now, if you're in Medicare or about to be, the system is not set up to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans, and too many people making money off of your confusion. And look, we're used to this. We're no strangers to systems that don't have our best interests at heart. But we don't have to accept it when it comes to Medicare. That's why I'm telling you about Chapter. Their advisors are independent and honest. In fact, they're the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. And they're focused on one thing: what works for you. If there's a better plan out there, they'll find it. If you're already in the right one, they'll tell you that too. There are no games. Just last year, people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100. It's 20 minutes and a real person. It's completely free. My parents actually have already called. My mom sent me a text. Folks, give Chapter a call at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281, and connect with someone you can trust. Folks, these are the kind of services that we need for our audience here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. So call Chapter right now, 724-264-8281.
Hi, I'm Swing Cash, Basketball Hall of Famer, and you're watching Black Star Network.
Secretary of State Marco Rubio is a weasel. He is a Trump sycophant and a MAGA ass kisser. And today he had a major meltdown during the Senate Foreign Relations Committee hearing where he duked it out with New Jersey Senator Cory Booker. Watch.
Mr. Secretary, you and I talked a lot about Africa, and I raised concerns about a lot of the cuts. We're seeing globally an increase in tuberculosis, an increase in malaria cases. We see a continued ongoing on the continent HIV crisis. And the United States has pulled back from a lot of its investments in those areas. Now with the crisis with Ebola, we see that the challenges that have been brought about as a result of our surveillance, early detection, and the like. So I'm just very concerned about what the administration's strategy is, because we're clearly seeing here that what goes on the continent of Africa directly affects our public health as well.
Well, first of all, I don't agree with that assessment. I mean, first of all, it's not about cutting back. The response here is not just how much money you spend, it's what results you're going to get. Now, let's talk about Ebola for a second. Ebola, the outbreak in Ebola was in a war-torn isolated rural area in the DRC. That's where that began. Since that time, our response has been very quick, very rapid.
Well, so you're saying you did not cut early detection periods. I'm not talking
I'm saying that whatever you're pointing to as a cut is not the reason why there was an Ebola
I'm not
outbreak.
connecting the two. I'm simply saying.
Well, you are connecting them. You said that our cuts...
Senator Rubio, I'm not trying to get in an argument with you. I would really like to actually have my questions answered. So very quickly, we cut early detection when it comes to infectious diseases on the continent. Factually, this is not an opinion. We made those cuts. We cut early warning systems on the continent.
It had nothing to do with the Ebola outbreak.
So I don't need to tell you, Secretary Rubio, that we're living in a place where an infectious disease crisis anywhere is a threat to public health everywhere. The United States has made major reductions in these areas that have put us more at risk. If you're talking about this clearly Ebola crisis, there's other things and other cuts we've made, and you see it factually. Even our own State Department personnel that I've talked to are saying we're less prepared for a global outbreak than we were before. And my worry is, specifically in a budget hearing, is this budget makes even deeper cuts into the kind of things that could prevent the next outbreak, or, as we've seen unfortunately with COVID, have us more prepared.
Yeah, I don't agree with that assessment. I don't know who told you that at the State Department. So just
let's
as an
move on.
example,
My time is limited.
I know, but that's an important question. I don't want to eat up your time, but I need to answer that because I just don't agree with that.
Mr. Secretary, you can't even agree on the facts.
Because that's not accurate. I mean, again, you look at what we've entered into with these
It's not accurate that we cut early detection.
Because those have all been repurposed in different arrangements that we now have with these countries. As an example,
I would like, for the record, because we're not going to cover it in my short time, if you're telling me we are as prepared or more prepared before the Trump administration came in, I'd like to see the facts.
I think when these reforms are finalized, which we're on the verge of doing, we're actually going to be better prepared. We are responding today faster, not just to humanitarian crisis, but to outbreaks than we were before. We are responding in some cases within 72 hours, are able to move funds to task, which you weren't able to do in the old system. And we're also building the capacity of these nation states through these compacts.
May I please reclaim my time to shift gears? The Strait of Hormuz, I was listening to their conversations you had with some of my colleagues. We've now seen the Strait closed for months, and you explained that we're going to see an opening of the Strait, and that ultimately the exchange we will get for that is, after that fact, we will release certain sanctions. Is that correct?
No, that's not what I said. What I said was that if they open the Straits, we will lift our blockade. The Straits and the blockade are what are interrelated.
And so for the nuclear program, in exchange for getting rid of the fissile material out of country, I imagine, is what the highly enriched uranium, we would release sanctions. Is that correct?
Well, it's not just that. It's also their enrichment activity. They would have to, they would have to make very severe and significant concessions on what they intend to enrich in the future.
And already with the March relaxing of sanctions, allowing Iranians to sell oil to the Chinese, estimates have been between $10 and $50 billion they got from that relaxing of sanctions. How much money might we see in a deal in our relaxings of sanctions in order to get rid of the highly enriched uranium and stop their enrichment?
Well, let me just tell you on that portion. The sanctions that were released on Iran were boats on the water. And so that oil was already out in the marketplace. It was sold at market rates, but the sanctions covered, and to the extent we've been able to enforce them, we have the revenues of those sales. So yeah, the Iranian oil was unsanctioned so that it could be sold, but the revenue would have to flow back to blocked accounts, which our sanctions were able to go after. We've also seized, I believe, 6 vessels in the Indo-Pacific that involved Iranian sanctioned oil on top of it. So that wasn't necessarily a trade. They didn't get $50 billion directly as a result of. They might have gotten some of it. They certainly didn't get the majority of it. They are now losing hundreds of millions of dollars a day in revenue because of the blockade. And the blockade exists because of what they're doing in the Straits.
Right, and I guess the conclusion I have, and my time's expired, is that the Strait of Hormuz was open before this unjustified war. We're now scrambling to try to find a way to get it back opened again. Not only is it causing economic havoc to our country and to residents all around this nation, families trying to make ends meet, but you see on top of that, the Iranians finding ways to leverage that, as we allowed them to do with the Chinese for tens of billions of dollars. And so my point is, before we even get to a nuclear negotiation, this regime is getting money to rebuild, purchase more drones, cause more havoc. And this is before we're even trying to get back to.
But I apologize. I don't understand how they're getting this. What revenue are you referring to?
Well, there's two sources of revenue we're seeing. One is the revenue from the Chinese. That's factually documented. And number two, the revenue that you're proposing that they should receive by releasing all of their highly enriched uranium, as well as in making a commitment about their enrichment capacities.
Yeah.
Hold on. And that was the exact deal that you guys vilified, that the president and you vilified President Obama from having.
Yeah. No,
So
I don't
here we
think
have
those are
a
not
worse situation
Those are not the same
where our
deal.
adversary and our enemy, who's causing havoc in the region, who is funding proxies and terrorists, has discovered, thanks to you all, the power of shutting down the Strait of Hormuz.
No, they didn't discover. They knew that a long time ago, and they've done it before.
Clearly, we all knew that a long time ago. That's why this ill-conceived war should have never happened.
Yeah, but
you have made our adversary in a stronger negotiating position. We are the strongest nation on the planet Earth, and we're in a stalemate with Iran. And now we're begging to get back into a deal that you all trashed in the first place.
There's no one begging. I don't
Clearly,
know.
this is a
Senator Booker, your time's up.
But
Senator Rubio, since he's
I do
gone
want to
over, you
address
can
some of these points
respond.
because they go to the heart of the matter. No one's begging for anything here. The Iranians might be begging because their economy's losing hundreds of millions of dollars a day. That they are losing. Understand, Iran had street protests going on before all of this started. All of those factors, economic factors in Iran, are far worse today than they were 6 months ago when those protests were happening. They have hyperinflation. Their currency's completely devalued. They're struggling to make payroll for their government workers. Iran is in a very serious situation. And if it was up to the political class there, and I understand everybody there is sort of radical in some way, but if it was up to the people that actually like go to elections and wear the suits and you see on TV, they'd probably make a deal tomorrow. It's the issue they're facing is that the supreme leader and the IRGC Corps are a little bit more immune from those pressures until they can be convinced otherwise. And I think that's the direction that they're moving in, because the reality, I don't know where you're getting this perception that Iran is stronger. Iran has no navy left. They've lost a substantial percentage of their defense industrial base. That Iran has lost a substantial percentage of their missile launchers. And their economy is far worse today, and I mean far worse today, than it was 6 to 9 months ago. And they are looking at hundreds of billions of dollars of reconstruction costs just to get to where they were 6 months
Mr. Rubio, you keep telling us how we're winning this war. The president keeps saying,
well, the war's over
completely annihilated. The war is not over. And yet the American people see how we're losing at the pump and with their costs, and yet this thing still hasn't been resolved. Every day he tweets out, oh, we've obliterated them, we've annihilated them, they're going to surrender. But yet we still find ourselves spending billions of dollars a week
Senator
on
Booker,
a war abroad.
You've gone way over. And
It would be nice if we had hearings where people
Thank
had to
you,
be held
Senator
accountable.
Booker. Senator
These folks are massive liars, Mustafa. Massive liars. One, he's lying. The war's not over. Okay. We're negotiating. We're not. We're negotiating. We're not. We're going to bomb them. We're not. Oh, we're not going to give them anything. They trashed Obama about returning $1.7 billion, and they literally are talking about sending upwards of $300 billion to Iran. That sounds like, to me, awful negotiating.
It's horrible negotiating on the international front and on the domestic front. On the domestic front, everybody is eating these costs, $1 billion a day for this war that continues on. And, you know, folks have talked about it, everything from gas prices, utility prices, food prices, and a number of other types of things. You know, the other part of it is that, you know, they know that the plan that was in place in 2015, the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, you know, people call it the Obama-Iran plan, but that's not the proper name for it. You know, the things that they're talking about were already inside of that plan and were working. You know, they had, what was it? I forget, they reduced their stockpile by 98%. And they cut 2/3 of their operating centrifuges and, you know, a number of other things. There was extensive inspections that were going on, all the things that the international community asked for, because that plan had both the United States, the United Kingdom, Germany, France, the European Union, even Russia was a part of that, to make sure that they were addressing the nuclear program that was there. And now here come these guys, right? In that first term when Trump actually pulled out of the plan, and they began, you know, the process of breaking down everything that was done. And then, you know, having Iran begin to go back to their old ways. By no means is Iran a good player, but there was a process and a plan that was in place. So when you ask the question, do they lie? They're lying intentionally. They're lying not only about the war that's going on, they're also lying about, the huge amount of money that's tied up here, which will end up coming from taxpayer dollars in some form or sense. They'll say it comes from other places, but it always ends up coming out of our pockets. And they're also making the world a much more dangerous place. And they're never honest about that. If you messed up, you messed up. Just call it what it is and then figure out how it's got to be fixed. But that's not a part of their plan because they want people to actually believe they know what they're doing. And unfortunately, they don't. And because they don't, it's putting people's lives in danger. And it is actually impacting our economy and the world economy and making it teeter in many places.
And the reality, Khalil, is they lie. They lie over and over and over again. You literally can't trust anything that comes out of their mouths.
I mean, yes, that's true. I'm not disagreeing with you there, but I think history is also context. We forget that in 1953, for 25 years, we were involved. America was involved in a coup to change the monarchy in Iran. Imagine somebody coming to the United States and say, hey, we're going to redo all this stuff and we're going to set you up so somebody is more compliant to our will. And then a revolution happens in 1979, and since then, now they are people we don't want to work with. So Iran is this complex understanding an organism that we created. Like I remember watching Rocky as a kid, Rambo 3 as a kid, and at the end, it talks about the U.S. being part of with the Mujahideen and working with the Afghani people, and then all of a sudden we get 9/11. And there are historical reasons why certain countries act the way that they do, and they set up, and it's like this Trump administration forgets all of these things. Oh, we're going to erase that. And then when you're called out on it, because I remember gas prices were supposed to be under $2, egg prices were supposed to be cheap. It was going to be the amazing economic rebirth and reboom that we were supposed to have in this country, and Bidenomics wasn't working, your life was terrible, things were crazy. But I know what it costs now to fill up my car. Even if I put $65 in, I'm not getting a full tank. Back and forth to drop my daughter off at school. So what is disingenuous about this administration is, one, giving no context to history, two, lying boldly in our faces. And I think we're seeing it at the ballot box. So many Americans are coming like, hey, what I believed in isn't really shaking out. I'm watching, because I can see it publicly, the administration, whether it's the president or his children, they're getting enriched off of trading stocks in the White House while they're seeing it. Friends of his are getting enriched, but my 401k is being depleted. The money that I put aside for gas or for the summer is going away, and my life is no better than where it was 2 years ago.
Randy.
And usually Trump has been able to get away with his lies because his base doesn't research anything. They just believe what he says. But now they're having to live the truth. So he can say that the war is over. He can say that it's been successful. But they know, came out today, it's been $100 billion that it's cost American families. There is nothing that we can do today that we are not feeling the weight of this war. Just like talking about gas prices. I just filled my tank. It was like $96. I could not believe it. Groceries are higher. Just buying something online is higher. It's affecting all American families. So the lies are being revealed somewhat, because we know they'll lie. We know he's going to say that this has been good for us. But the truth isn't how life is for us right now.
Yeah, I just don't trust anything that they say, and I don't give a damn who you are. I don't care what you say. I don't care how you can sit here and defend these lies. And the bottom line is, I do not, in any way possible, support Marco Rubio. There's nothing that Marco Rubio says that I will listen to, especially as it relates to Trump. And just in case y'all forgot, remember this?
Yeah, here's what happens in many countries around the world. You have a leader that emerges and basically says, don't put your faith in yourselves, don't put your faith in society, put your faith in me. I'm a strong leader, and I'm going to make things better all by myself. This is very typical. You see it in the third world. You see it a lot in Latin America for decades. It's basically the argument he's making that he single-handedly is going to turn the country around. We've never been that kind of country. We have a president. The president is an American citizen who serves for a period of time, constrained by the constitutions and the powers vested in that office. The president works for the people, not the people for the president. And if you listen to the way he describes himself and what he's going to do, he's going to single-handedly do this and do that without regard for whether it's legal or not. Look, I think people are going to have to make up their mind. I can tell you this, no matter what happens in this election, for years to come, there are many people on the right, in the media, and voters at large that are going to be having to explain and justify how they fell into this trap of supporting Donald Trump, because this is not going to end well one way or the other. He's going to be the nominee and he's going to lose. Or he'll have thrown this party into its most chaotic and divisive period ever, and that's unfortunate, because the Republican Party is the home of the limited government free enterprise movement in America. And if it crumbles or it divides or it splits apart, it'll be very difficult to elect candidates that hold those views at any level of government until we can bring the party back together.
Really? Really? I just want people to not forget the stuff that they used to say before they started kissing as much Trump ass as possible. I remember when Ted Cruz was saying the same thing. And so, yeah, let's never, ever, ever allow little Marco, remember that's what Trump used to call him, let's not ever let him off the hook and get him to walk away from the things that he actually used to say about Donald Trump. So we're going to keep reminding you, little Marco. I'm going to go to a break. We'll be right back. Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network. All right, folks, let me tell you about Chapter. Now, if you're on Medicare or about to be, the system is not set up to work for you. Too much fine print, too many plans, and too many people making money off of your confusion. And look, we're used to this. We're no strangers to systems that don't have our best interests at heart. But we don't have to accept it when it comes to Medicare. That's why I'm telling you about Chapter. Their advisors are independent and honest. In fact, they're the only Medicare advisors that compare every plan nationwide. And they're focused on one thing: what works for you. If there's a better plan out there, they'll find it. If you're already in the right one, they'll tell you that too. There are no games. Just last year, people who switched with Chapter saved an average of $1,100. It's 20 minutes and a real person. It's completely free. My parents actually have already called. My mom sent me a text. Folks, give Chapter a call at 724-264-8281, 724-264-8281, and connect with someone you can trust. Folks, these are the kind of services that we need for our audience here at Roland Martin Unfiltered and the Black Star Network. So call Chapter right now, 724-264-8281.
How you doing? I'm Mark Curry, and you're watching the Black Star Network. That's why I got these glasses on, because that black star is bright.
Folks, black voters in Alabama urged the Supreme Court to reject the state's emergency request to use a congressional map with only one majority black district in the midterms, a map the lower courts have repeatedly found intentionally discriminatory. Alabama Republicans want the justices to pause a lower court's ruling that blocked the state from using the 2023 map and let it move forward with the map for the 2026 midterms. The filing is the latest development in the state's years-long fight to avoid drawing a congressional map that would give black voters a fair opportunity to elect candidates of their choice in two districts. Black residents make up more than a quarter of Alabama's population. Still, the state's Republican-controlled legislature has repeatedly tried to lock in a map with just one majority black district out of 7. Now, in Mississippi, a federal judge has ruled that the state Supreme Court's election districts violated the Voting Rights Act and that black candidates seeking to run for the state's highest court were unlikely to succeed. Yeah, this is all a result of Calais. U.S. District Court Judge Sharon Aycock instructed lawmakers to draw a new map to give black voters more power, with court-ordered special elections to follow. likely this fall. Those changes have not happened since the conservative-led Supreme Court's Calais decision that dramatically weakened the Voting Rights Act, making it much harder for racial minorities to win voting discrimination lawsuits. Now let's talk Louisiana. White folks there who were successful in the Calais case, they now, y'all no lie, they now are still mad. They don't just want to get rid of the congressional seat of Representative Cleo Fields, they want to wipe out the seat of Congressman Troy Carter. They are claiming that that is a racial gerrymander. Bottom line here, Cleo, looking at all of this here, and I keep saying this, this is an attack on Black America. This is to defund Black America. This is to wipe out Black political power. I mean, I've been yelling and screaming this since 2009. I've been talking about white fear and what's going on, and Black people, especially Black men, had better wake the hell up and realize that these white Republicans, and I don't give a damn if you got some of these Negroes who voted for Trump and they're running around talking about, oh man, I got money in my pockets. These white folks today want to wipe out Black political power just as aggressively as they did in the late 1800s after Reconstruction.
Brother, what is also telling to me is where our supposed allies are in this fight. You know, I love Vince Evans and the role he plays in a tweet that he put out calling out Senator Sanders. I know so many brothers and sisters who showed up to support a lot of white candidates who are on the Democratic and progressive side. But far too often, we have heard crickets from them since the Calais decision. We have not come in to see massive movements that they've joined us. Now, there have been some, but to the large degree that we need our friends to show up to help us. But this is, again, being born on the backs of so many Black brothers and sisters from Louisiana to Alabama to Mississippi to Tennessee to Florida to Missouri to Washington State and others. And so, yes, I am concerned about those brothers who, you know, vote on the other side that I disagree with. But I am equally, if not more, concerned about the people who call me friend, who want to show up and ask our communities when they feel hurt or they feel a slight from this administration. We can't hear from them. It is crickets. It's silence. There is a group text thread from some alumni from a campaign that I asked recently. There were a bunch of other chats going on at the time, but very few were talking about voting rights. Very few were talking about what it means. Can I come with you in joining this movement? I'm not making a correlation between this and Roe v. Wade and the Dobbs decision. But what I am drawing contrast is when the Dobbs decision came down, when it was telegraphed that it was going to come down, there was massive movements to organize. There were emails and text messages coming out of not only from Democratic Party, but progressive groups on a regular, consistent basis. And then there was money being flowed into those C3 and C4 organizations in a nonpartisan way or in an education way to make sure people understood what was happening. That's not happening right now. Far too often, a lot of our groups are struggling to do this work, and not just national groups. There are so many amazing organizers, Wakinya Clinton in Mississippi, Emil Washington in Louisiana, Gary Chambers in Louisiana. I'm blanking on some of my brothers and sisters who, Chris Mosley in Birmingham, Alabama. There are amazing people who are doing this work. And then finally, Roland, two brothers, now is the opportunity. I know it was said in 2024 that we were the second voting bloc just behind Black women. I love to be the first. I would love that brothers show out. Of course, I would love it. I'm going to be like our pastor. Can't tell you who to vote for, but I'm telling you who I'm voting for. I would love it if you voted the way that I did, but I need you to get to the voting booth.
Khalil, that wasn't just 2024. That's always been the case. Reality is Black men have always been the second largest voting bloc behind Black women for Democrats. But Randy, here's my whole deal. I look at I got to look at my house before I look at somebody else's house. And so I don't give a shit about those white allies. What I'm looking at are Black people. And what I know that if Black people vote our numbers, Gary Chambers has talked about it. The reason those constitutional amendments in Louisiana lost because Black people voted in early voting and on election day. And so what I am saying is to Black people, I don't give a shit about these white allies, okay? Because they're going to do what they do, and that is be white. But what I'm saying, and in fact, what I need those white allies to do, I don't need them coming talking to Black people. I need them going to talk to white people in Louisiana, in Mississippi, in Alabama. We got the black people. But what I am saying, Randy, if black people vote our numbers, if we vote at 70% minimum of our numbers in Texas, in Louisiana, in Mississippi, in Florida, in Georgia, in South Carolina, in North Carolina, we win, or we make it a hell of a lot easier for a candidate, a Democratic candidate, because Republicans don't give a shit about us, make it easier to win. It's as simple as that. So what I need our focus has to be on black people. And I'm saying black men. I'm saying black women. This is Pride Month. I had somebody say, well, are you going to talk about gay folk? I said, listen, when I'm talking about black people, I'm talking about gay people. And I'm talking about straight people, because I'm talking about black people. So if we're talking about voting rights, and we're talking about black people, and you LGBTQ, are you black? Your ass included. If we're talking about this attack on this economy and how it's hurting black people, and you LGBTQ, your ass included. If we're talking about the loss of black contracts, and you transgender and you black, your ass included. So when I say we talking about black people, that's what I'm talking about. And right now, our emphasis, whether it's Pride Month, whether it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, whether it's Mental Health Awareness Month, or whatever month it is, I'm saying in June, July, August, September, October, and the first Monday in November, what we are doing are fixated on black people driving our numbers, because when you do your job, then you can say, I did my job. But there's nothing worse, Randy, when we talk about elections and we see a 52% black turnout, and then it was like, damn, my candidate didn't win. Hell, not with 52% when you left 20, 30, 40, 50, 100,000, 600,000, 900,000 votes at home.
Right. We have to show up, and we have to ignore the propaganda that has made that has disenfranchised us to think we don't have any power. I really do believe a lot of people just have given up. They feel as if there's nothing that they can do, and they would not be fighting so much against us voting. They would not be doing all that they're doing if we were not powerful. They know what could happen if we show up. They know it. And so we have to know it. We have to reclaim our power and get to those polls. And that is all black people. Like I tell people, I speak to all black people, except for black people who don't like black people. Besides that, but even they should go ahead and vote, right? No, we have to get out there and vote. But I believe that we have just believed that we don't have the power that we do.
Well, and again, part of the reason that's the case, Mustafa, and I have been yelling and screaming this, and it drives me crazy, is we can't hope people show up. We can't wish they show up. What you have to do is you have to actually seed the ground and then till the soil and then attend it and water it before something grows. And so I have been saying in every state in the South, in every city in the South, there should be a black-focused citizenship education training session happening minimum once a week. And all I'm saying is it should be 4 churches around the city saying, all right, we're going to do something on Friday, do something on Saturday. This group will do something on this day. So no matter where you go, like, hey, that way we're teaching people about the system. We can't assume people know how all of this works.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, education is incredibly important. Brother Khalil also talked about making sure that the resources are there as well to make sure, that we're building out the platforms, helping people to get connected, helping them have the information that they need. I would just add one piece, is that in my conversations with a number of brothers, they want to also know that they are seen, because many feel that they are not. Now, of course, these impacts are happening and hitting them, But there is an agenda that many brothers are looking for, making sure whether it's around jobs or a number of things. So we just got to make sure as that education is happening, that we are also making sure that those folks who have felt disconnected from the process, that their priorities and concerns are also being met. And I think if we do that, and of course the sisters are going to make sure that the agenda is moving forward as well, then I think that we begin to coalesce we begin to bring together the power that's necessary to be able to move some of these issues that we've been talking about today and other shows as well.
But here's the thing, though, to what you just said, and on this point, and Khalil, I heard this in 24, I heard it in 22, I heard it in 20, I heard it in 18, I heard it in 16, I heard it in 14. There was a 9-point gap between black men and black women for Obama over Romney, so I heard it in 12. And brothers saying, we are here, speak to us. And I go, okay, you're right. But you also got to speak yourself. And I'm being very clear. And I don't care what any brother has to say in any neighborhood in this country. I don't care if you got a group of black men who don't like all the attention on Black Girl Magic. I don't care if you got black men who say, well, I think sisters get too much credit. Let me be real clear, and I've said this before. The reality is this here. The big difference between black men and black women is black women are going to organize and mobilize, and they're not going to ask somebody's permission. And Khalil, I'm being straight up. I think too many black men are sitting on their asses, mad that they ain't talking to us, but you ain't mobilized yourself to go talk to them. The reality is this here. If I look at if there's a group of black men in Philadelphia, and in Chicago, and in Charlotte, and I could just go down the list, and you said, man, they ain't listen to us. Okay, show me where 100 or 200 of you rolled up to the office of said politician and said, when you go talk to us? I've seen sisters do that. And so I'm just telling you right now, I think in this whole issue, when black men say we want to be seen, no, how about you make yourself heard? And trust me, when you make yourself heard, oh, they're not just going to see you, they're going to hear you, but you got to do some work.
No, I mean, you're very true. There's no disagreement here on that point. I think brothers need to get out of their way and step up. There are dynamic groups that are coming together. A Million Man Vote is a group here in D.C. I know there are others that are meeting in church basements, that are meeting at YMCAs, that are coming together at various different locations. But we need to coalesce. I don't care what umbrella you want to come underneath, whether it's Divine Nine, whether it's labor, whether it's faith, whether it's just a community group. But if there's no other moment, if there was no other election that you need to stand up and make your voice heard, now is the one. I didn't live through Jim Crow. I have no idea what it was like to be a slave. I can imagine both of those time periods were horrible and horrendous and terrible. But what I do know is that I don't want to live in an era where my daughter has to choose between a fountain, where a group of her friends gets more access than don't. And so I am making the decision. And you and I have talked about this on many times, Roland, because we got flack for our call. Just step up and do something. Organize in your community. Come together. We will support you. WinWithBlackMen.org. We will figure out a way to help you get some of those resources. It's a CRM you need. We got you. It's a Zoom platform you need to organize. Great. Texting, phone banking, canvassing. We are there with you. But come together. And I find far too often sisters are also willing to do it and check ego at the door and come and do this work. I love my brothers, but sometimes it's like, well, why are you running that? Well, I'm running it because I remember in 2024, a brother asked me and said to me, we are leading in this space. How dare you step up and do a phone call? And a fellow convener, Quentin, and I said, well, cool, if you're leading, we'll join your call. They had no call, so we just continued doing the work. There can't be ego in this moment. We just got to do the work.
It's as simple as that. It's time for Black Star Network headlines.
A white officer from Shelby, North Carolina, has been charged with assault after he punched a black woman during an arrest. 22-year-old Carson Hyder is facing 1 count of assault, inflicting serious injury. The incident occurred on Friday while officers were conducting a criminal investigation about a suspicious female in the area. Doorbell camera footage shows Officer Hyder throwing 34-year-old Sherry Moore to the ground, pinning her down and punching her multiple times. A second officer arrived to assist Hyder before Moore was handcuffed and arrested. On Saturday, the Shelby Police Department completed an administrative investigation into the incident and subsequently fired Hyder. He turned himself into the Cleveland County Detention Center yesterday, where he was processed and released on a $10,000 bond. The charges against Moore have been dropped. The Georgia Supreme Court has paved the way for executions to resume by officially overturning a previous ruling that had postponed them due to COVID-19 concerns. In the earlier ruling, execution could not take place until vaccines were widely available to the public. A lower court had determined that this condition has not been met because children under 6 months old could not receive the vaccine. However, the Georgia Supreme Court disagreed, concluding that the availability of the vaccine does not require FDA approval for every age group for the condition to be considered satisfied. All new cars sold in the United States may soon be equipped with a kill switch designed to prevent impaired drivers from operating a vehicle. According to the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, more than 30 people die each day in drunk driving crashes in the United States. In 2021, lawmakers in Congress passed the Halt Drunk Driving Act, which mandated that the NHTSA develop regulations requiring automakers to install anti-drunk driving technology in all new vehicles within 5 years. In recent months, several Republicans have attempted to repeal this mandate. However, the rules are still being drafted, and unless the legislation is overturned, the requirements could come into effect as early as next year. Well, Haitian-American Edwin Raymond is New York City's new sheriff. Mayor Zoran Madami appointed the Brooklyn native and retired NYPD lieutenant to the position on May 29th. Raymond is recognized for his efforts to promote police accountability and reform, including legal actions against racial quotas. Previously, he served as the nation's first social justice liaison in the New York State Attorney General's office, where he focused on issues related to law enforcement, accountability, and building public trust. Raymond is now taking over the role from Anthony Miranda, whom Mayor Mandami recently fired. Well, the White House Correspondents Association has officially rescheduled the annual Correspondents' Dinner for next month. The dinner will now be held in Washington, D.C. on Friday, July 24th. Weijia Jiang, Correspondents Association president, said the event will operate with significantly enhanced safety measures and new access procedures. Jiang said that rescheduling shows that they will not allow an act of violence to have the last word. The original dinner was interrupted on April 25th when a gunman allegedly breached a security checkpoint and opened fire outside the event. Additional details regarding the venue and programming will be released in the coming weeks with a smaller team. Trump posted to social media saying that he will be attending the gala in July. And a recent study by Navigator Research reveals that Black men lack trust in mainstream media and turn to programs like Roland Martin Unfiltered on the Black Star Network as a reliable source for news and political analysis. Researchers surveyed Black voters who supported President Joe Biden in 2020 but voted for President Donald Trump in 2024, as well as Democrats who feel disengaged from the political process. Many of the men in the focus group identified social media as their primary source of news, while others mentioned local news stations and newspapers as more trustworthy options. Several respondents cited personalities such as Joe Rogan and Roland Martin as trusted sources for news. And after 4 years and the birth of 2 kids, tennis legend Serena Williams is making her return to the court. In a joint announcement with Nike, Williams revealed that she is ready to compete at a professional level once again. The 7-time Wimbledon champion is set to play at the Queen's Club in London next week. Williams retired in August of 2022 to focus on her family, but now the 44-year-old is preparing for the HSBC Championships. She already holds an impressive record of 23 major singles titles, 73 career singles titles, and 14 major doubles titles, along with her sister Venus Williams and her 4 Olympic gold medals.
Folks, don't forget to watch The Breakdown. Brittany Noble every day, noon Eastern, right here in the Black Star Network. Every day, noon Eastern on the Black Star Network. All right, y'all, we're going to close out with this here. It goes to show you how Republicans operate. And this past weekend in Minnesota, they took time out of their statewide convention to pay tribute to convicted murderer, former cop Derek Chauvin. That's right. You know, he was the cop in 2020 who killed George Floyd, launching a nationwide protest against police brutality and racial injustice. The attendees stood in silence for about 10 seconds for Chauvin, just days after the anniversary of him murdering Floyd. Yeah. Kendall Quallis, a black man, a black Republican who was running for governor in Minnesota, was actually asked about the moment of silence. Listen to this.
I wasn't privy that that was going to be done beforehand. I didn't know that. But you know what? And I'm going to speak to the people that believe that. That believe that was and I could see how people could be offended by it. But I'm going to speak to the people that made the decision to do it. Based on a lot of the evidence that's come forward in the public since the trial, there's a lot of people. There's a lot of evidence, facts that have said that this was not given scrutiny or was not given information at his trial or in the public until after the trial was over. So I can see why they would have that moment of silence. Like I said,
so I understand that, and there has been good reporting, and there are people believe different aspects about what was allowed in the trial and after. But a moment of silence is for someone who's left us. So let me just ask this.
Let me just finish this. You know, you asked me that question, and you said, what would you say to a moderate voter? The answer I just gave you, the context about how I apologized to law enforcement officers across the board, and then given both sides of that story, that's what I would say to a moderate voter.
If the GOP would have approached you and said, you right now are the favorite to come out of this as our endorsed candidate, and a lot of this is going to reflect back on you, would you have okayed a moment of silence for Derek Chauvin?
That was probably not, I don't know. That was probably not the venue to do that or timing to do that. I think there was a better ways to convey that information. So I mean, that's a good question. I got to tell you, giving that some thought, I don't know if that was the venue to do it or the timing to do it.
It sounds like you're saying no, that was not the right decision.
I do have my own concerns about the trial itself and the condition of Derek Chauvin, how he was treated.
But again, and I've interviewed a number of times now. You are a straight shooter. You answer questions. Are you saying that this was a mistake to have the moment of silence this past weekend?
You know what? I don't want to say that. Here's what I would say, like I told you earlier. I don't know if that was the best timing to convey that. If we're wanting to make a case for that, I think you make it out a case for fact and everything else. You don't make it a political issue that can be used all the way through the general campaign to the very end. And so I get it.
There's a word. There's a word that describes Kendall Qualls. Actually, I think it's actually there are 3 words that describes Kendall Qualls that actually formed one word. Bitch assness.
I love you, bro.
Bitch assness. That's you, Kendall Qualls. You are a weak, impotent, pathetic disgrace of a black man. Where the host calls you a straight shooter. And I'm sorry, may not venue. I don't really. I'm just. That's what that shit sound like. And you know what, his sorry ass opponent, Minnesota House Speaker, Republican gubernatorial candidate Lisa DeMuth. Listen to her dumb ass. Asked about whether she would pardon Derek Chauvin.
What about the moment of silence for Derek Chauvin? Yesterday, Kendall Qualls said it wasn't his choice. How did you feel about that moment? What would you have to say?
I actually was not on the convention floor at the time, so I was hearing much later on things. What I would say though is moments of silence typically have always, when I think of fallen officers and first responders, I think back just 2 years ago to the Burnsville tragedy. I think just 2 years ago to Jamal Mitchell in Minneapolis. That is what I typically would think of at that time.
Did you think it was appropriate, and would you pardon him if that were to come to your desk?
Again, I wasn't on the floor. The ability for a governor to do any type of pardons, obviously there's a pardon board. There's a lot that goes into any type of decision.
Wow. Just pure cowardice, Mustafa. I mean, y'all are aligning with Derek Chauvin? That is not a hard one to say, nah, yeah, I'm good. That's going to be a hard pass.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to respect the shucking and driving that was just going on by both of them. For the brother, I'm always reminded that all skin folk ain't kinfolk. And he actually made that come alive with how he responded and I guess what his belief system is. I mean, the reality is that our dear brother was murdered. Everybody saw it. Everybody knows it. And you should not be honoring anyone who's murdered someone else. So, it's a very easy answer. But unfortunately, politicians, very rarely are politicians straightforward when it comes to our community and doing something to actually uplift us. But when it comes to the impact side of the equation, then sometimes they're much easier for them to then say certain things.
Randy?
No is a complete sentence. I don't understand why she struggled with that. It should have been very easy just to say no. No, of course I wouldn't pardon him. He's a murderer. I mean, we saw the tape, right? And of course it's not appropriate to have a moment of silence for a man. You have a moment of silence to honor someone who's done something great. What has he done great? What has he earned in this life, except for killing a black man? And so if that is what you're celebrating, if you're acting as if he's a hero, that tells me a lot about this country. And now it's like we at least used to have people who would pretend that they were anti-racist. They would pretend that they weren't racist. But now it seems as if, well, let me just dance around the subject because I realize that racism is actually very popular in this country. And I certainly don't want to anger the racist. It's pitiful.
Khalil?
You can disagree with people all the time. You can just say no. Like, no, you shouldn't do it. That's number one. The second thing is she made it akin to a fallen officer. Derek Chauvin is still alive. George Floyd is dead. Like, what are we making this correlation? And then to the brother, I mean, maybe this is inflammatory. Let me put my knee on your neck and see how long you're going to stand down on the ground and if you can breathe. Like, let me apply the same pressure to you that was applied to George Floyd and see if you are still here and want that. If you can't stand up for the morals and the principles that you say your party stands for, or stand up when they do something wrong, how do we expect you to stand up when there are larger decisions to be made at the highest office in your state? So I think, I'm sorry, I got nothing else, man. That's it.
Again, just weak, And if you are a black conservative, that's the kind of folks you want as your leader? Yeah, hell no. Khalil, Randy, Mustafa, surely appreciate it. Thanks a bunch. Folks, tomorrow I'll be broadcasting live from Chicago. So look forward to that. And also in the second hour of tomorrow's show, we'll be paying tribute to Peebo Bryson, who we noted earlier in the show, at 5 p.m. Eastern, about 3 hours ago, passed away 2 days after suffering a stroke. He was 75. We will remember him on tomorrow. Folks, don't forget to support the work that we do. Join our Bring the Funk fan club. If you want to contribute to this show, do it via Cash App. Use a Stripe QR code. You see it right here on the screen. Come on. Thank you. That's good. Very much. Okay. That's QR code. If you're listening, go to blackstarnetwork.com. Check some money order. Make it payable to Roland Martin Unfiltered, P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. PayPal, R. Martin Unfiltered. Venmo, RM Unfiltered. Zelle, Roland at RolandSMartin.com. Roland at RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Download the Black Star Network app, Apple phone, Android phone, Apple TV, Android TV, Roku, Amazon Fire TV, Samsung Smart TV. If you want to get our Roland Martin Unfiltered swag, go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. Hats, T-shirts, all that good stuff. You can also, if you want to support the black-owned products that we have in our marketplace, also go to shopblackstarnetwork.com. Don't forget, folks, download the app fan base. You can follow me at Roland S. Martin. Check out every single day the breakdown, Brittany Noble, of course, every day noon Eastern right here on the Black Star Network. Every Tuesday, you can see A Balanced Life with Reverend Dr. Jackie Hood Martin. Every Wednesday, The Other Side of Change with Bria Baker and Jamira Burley. Every Thursday, Second Opinion with Dr. Ebony Hilton. On Thursday. On Fridays, The Black Table with Dr. Greg Carr, as well as Roland's Book Club. All of those shows, that's when you support Black Star Network, you're supporting all of those shows. Folks, that's it. I'll see y'all tomorrow right here on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Holla!